Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Travis Told You on a Wednesday, February 25th, 2025. I am your host, Travis Snell. I'd say as usual, but it's been a little bit. It's been a minute. I'd have to actually take a look and see. I apologize, right? As I've said countless times when I started this, Monday to Wednesday, I feel like I missed only a few times. I'm like Tuesday, Thursday, working better for the GV schedule. That's what we're going to do. It's been a catastrophe, not only because of content, but just because of life. Luckily, life is not like chaotic and anything bad happening. Knock on the wood. It's just been lots of kind of everything. My day job, life, and then podcast schedule, things just changing all around. I'm just trying to map it all out. So I do apologize that it's not been that. My plan is to hopefully get back to that, but we'll see. Like, I'm still planning at least doing the trying to hit the 2 episodes a week. My plan is still to, if anything, do one, because obviously there's a lot, especially I think in March and April, we got a lot of stuff coming up. So, and as I said before, I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do Tuesday and Thursday for now for a little bit. I think even in this month, we might go back to Wednesday for just this month until Euphoria starts. It's kind of all over. It's just things that work better, things that don't. I digress. But yeah, when was the last time? It was, when I did Wuthering Heights. That was all the way last week, right? February. Really? I feel super bad now. February 17th, hey? So 12 days ago? Is that true? Yeah, I apologize, but I appreciate all of you that always still listen, come back. Like I said, I try my best. Always things are on the move. I try my best to keep it going, get the show consistently. So my hope is to get back to the 2 episodes. Next week I should be good. Let me just take a look in the little calendar here. I think next week's for sure going to be a Monday one, because I'd probably like to talk about the Scream box office, some other stuff, but also there's just a lot of things that like the Resident Evil review that comes on the Tuesday. I kind of let that, like, behind the scenes, there's content that we know that's going to be kind of just listen to that day or the day after, or there's stuff like literally on our calendar for December. It's Avengers Doomsday release, and then the whole thing's blacked out because the way it works sometimes in algorithms, some things are work better as far as the short form, and the reviews, those work better longer form, because when people click on them or they're looking for the reviews, they're up in the top, where sometimes it's pushed down. Oh, they didn't review Resident Evil, so, which I'm very excited for. Can't wait. We are 24 hours, not 24 hours, but 24 hours and some to that. Check out SideQuest. Me and Don had a great conversation, not only about the Xbox stuff, got to take a victory lap there, but the Resident Evil ranking. I said on that, I don't think I've been excited for a game since Red Dead 2, because I was trying to think about it, because Death Stranding I was like optimistically curious about but worried. Spider-Man 2 I was excited, but I don't think it reached the heights of the first one. Wolverine, very excited for, but Resident Evil Requiem, man, I'm very excited. So check out, me and Dylan will be talking about that. So next week I'm for sure gonna do one then. Coming up, we got the Scream review. Was that tomorrow? And then we have the Gimmick on Sunday. That's gonna be talking about Chamber, and hopefully do another victory lap there for my draft win, first of the year. Hopefully, I suppose won last year. I'm hoping to win this year. And then next week, I guess there's 2 notes. I'd like to, but patrons, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the Oscar predictions this year with you guys, because one, I'm trying to watch all of Peaky Blinders right now before March 6th, because I want to see the movie, and me and Kirkland plan to review that. I am 1 season left to go, so I think I can get that. But the thing is, I still have a bunch of Oscar movies I actually have to watch. So the predictions might be later than I wanted. And also just for like the time wise, like the weekends I would do it, I'm doing either other content or family stuff. So I'm going to try to see if I can wiggle around, but patrons, I apologize this year for people that join me on the Oscar predictions. I don't think it's happening this year. We're still going to do a pool. I'll probably announce in the Discord once I for sure know that, but something like this weekend, that weekend's gone because I got to play Resident Evil, make sure I can review that properly, right? So I don't think it's going to happen this year. I don't think this is like me killing it or anything. We did it 2 years in a row. I'd very much like to do the After 9 Oscars. It's just sometimes the way it works out. And like I said, I want to be able to watch them all, make a full, even some commentary on them, right? So that might be end up doing just like a Trav's Told You episode. Very likely, I'd say like 80% right now. And then next week for the patrons, I'm going to talk about it. I'll make a little post about it, but I've talked about this for years. I finally want to do this. We're doing the March Madness, and we're gonna get in the news. Today is a bunch of like pretty quick hits, but like there's some good juicy stuff here. Like I'll read it down here. Hang on before we get to that. We're talking about this Variety report that came out today. It's talking about the new CEOs and talking about their feelings on Manalorian Grogu, Doomsday, and Starfighter. We're going to talk about some Batman 3 and Brain Bold shenanigans and just kind of one stuff to dispute and say, okay, if this was true, how would I feel? But also just like fellow podcasters and like, man, like I just, I get it. It's a grind. We all got to get those headlines, but I was super disappointed last week by some people. It's just like, okay, like this was kind of disproven, but you're still reporting it. I'll get into it, right? It's a mini trash rant. Talking Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, some Resident Evil news, box office predictions and breakdown. Mike has some Scream questions. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. So a bunch of quick hits today, just kind of quick catch up on everything. But so my plan next week is to do news on the Monday, talk about stuff, and then on the Wednesday or Thursday, we'll see. I'll just see which works better. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see. TBD on that. But yeah, I think the Wednesday, because Weekly Geek. I think in March, pretty much, Travis told you my plan is trying to do two, but it's going to be a bit in flux. And even the live aspect, I've been wanting to, but some stuff with the day job. Luckily, it's nothing like my job risk or people getting fired, stuff like that. It's just like there's been some changes and some stuff, and we were going through a lot of changes there at work. And that's where it's like before, it's like, oh, I always know I can etch out this time. I don't really know that, and I don't like it doesn't do well as far as always bumping the time up. So I will say that for now there might be, and it could be a little bit for foreseeable future. The live aspect is going to be kind of a TBD, you know. And then there might be just a few little things too near the end before the when especially too like. Yeah, it's tough because I got spring break coming up and I'll be watching the girls sometimes, and then I'll have when summer break happens. So we'll see. I think it's gonna be TBD. I've thought about maybe 1 week will be live and then the other one won't. And I think stuff like this one, the March Madness actors, would be a good thing. I've talked about doing this for a long time, so I'm just gonna do this plug and then I'll get out of here and we'll talk. Not get out of here. We'll talk about the news. But just so you know, someone's like, you guys should just get to the news. No. That's something I want to promote. If you are, and my voice, did you hear that? That crack. I'm so sorry if that was very loud. That cracked big time there. Something croaked there. For years, I've wanted to do a March Madness style bracket, and I got other ideas. So if this is a hit, I'd love to make this yearly, an annual thing. But I want to decide with the GV community, who do we think is the best current day actor? So what's going to happen, and this is for anyone on the page. You know what? I'll do this. Even if it's the free tier, I'll let you submit an actor. Usually it's all the tiers because this is a fun thing. You got to go to Patreon because we've said before, there is stuff on the free tier. Go all the other tiers. There's tons of content right now. Soon you're getting the bread and butter with me and Dylan next 24 hours. You're getting the Punisher first film without longer retrospective early for producers. There's tons of stuff. This weekend, the voting starts for the MCU and the regular Golden Geeks. Our Patreon's flowing. Like we just added, I'm not going to say what it is. We added another one-off retrospective this year. So it's like, when I said over 50 episodes, I feel like by the time I get to the year, it's going to be about 60. If you go to the Patreon producer tier, you're getting an episode for every week of the year, pretty much, and then some. So great stuff there. Ad-free, early episodes, exclusive episodes, but I'll put it on the free tier where what's going to happen is I'm going to make the list, okay? I'm going to make the list. I think March Madness does like the 32, right, teams? I'm pretty sure. I'm not a basketball guy. I think they do the 32 teams. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be 32 actors. Doesn't matter if it's he, she, they, non-binary. Doesn't matter. If you think there's somebody, so it's like Golden Geeks where we make the nominees, but you guys vote. And obviously I'll vote. I'll be like a tiebreaker vote, I guess, if it comes down to it. But yeah, that's what I do. I'll put the polls out and I won't vote unless it has to be a tiebreaker. I'm going to let you guys do, because you guys know where I stand. You know who I think is the greatest actor right now. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't, but I just thought it'd be fun to see what you guys and gals and everyone else in between thinks. So I will make the nominees, the players, the fighters, but I want you to suggest anybody that you think could be in there. My only thing is I'm saying it's present day, not of all time, present day. So I want you to kind of think their body of work has to be within the last 10 years. I'll say, because we're just 2026, I'd say in honor of the podcast, 2015 and on. Who do you think in that time? And I know you might say, like, oh, is it the best actor really of today and stuff? No, but it's just kind of the body of work of, okay, maybe they've had a couple stumbles, like a Fassbender. Do I know he's making the list? I actually don't know if he is, but like 2015 to 2010 or 2012 or 2020, I would have easily made a case for all the time. He's the best actor currently, right? And I still think The Killer, the Agency, I think it was the Agency that he was in, he's still giving great performances. So that's why I'm giving a 10-year span right now. And maybe we'd like update this like every 5 years and then kind of go from that way. But just the parameters, and it doesn't matter. Could be TV, could be movies, whatever you think. Like whatever you want to put up there as oh, this is why they're great. Do that. Obviously, if it's like a fucking play or something, or Broadway, I'm not going to accept that because I don't have, that backing. But then also same thing as like, it's going to be still like a Travis, biased list because if you suggest someone that's great in a TV show and I haven't seen it, that's tough for me, right? If that person comes up multiple times, and here's the thing, if you in the comments of Patreon see the post and you see an actor's name already brought up, still put them there because it comes down that spot where I'm at my 31, 32 spot, don't know who to put in. I will go and put in, like, I'll look at these names, and if someone has a higher count as far as backing, then I'll go, okay, let's give it to them, right? So that's what I'm doing. Look out for that. I'll make that post maybe on the weekend. I might do that Friday, but look out for it because I want to have something together. I'll probably record that Wednesday. So there you go. So let's get into some news right now. Let me pull up the thing here. Where is it? Because so Variety put this report, and obviously it's a report, so you don't know what's 100% true, what's 100% not true, but they are an S tier scooper. It's more of a general. There's a whole thing about the CEO and the changeover at Disney, because obviously, as we've talked about many times, if you're tired of me harping about it, I'm gonna again change over at Star Wars, change over at Xbox, change over at Disney. Massive brands and IPs and things we follow are they're changing at a rapid rate. Espa, I see you sharing what I'm going to talk about in this headline right here, and that's what changed the main topic for me because it was very interesting. So just to start off here, Disney's board elevated entertainment chief Waldron to let's see. Oh, there. Okay, let me change that up. Disney's board elevated. Sometimes there should be commas. Entertainment chief Dana Walden to help balance out the creative leadership structure under the incoming CEO of Josh D'Amora. D'Amora lacks any film or TV experience, which plagued Chapek's short tenure, which we heard about, right? That was a big deal, and this comes into it. Unlike Chapek, who stripped the power away from all the media chiefs, D'Amora is expected to grant Walden greater autonomy with creatives. Josh is not afraid to surround himself with people who know more about something that he does. A former Disney executive now serving at Netflix CEO. And there's the full thing, right? That was just that was one of the bigger talking points, because the reason I'm bringing this up is when the Chapek thing happened, Chapek, I think it's Chapek, right? I don't know why I've been saying Chapek the whole time now, but Bob Chapek, when that happened, there was a lot of things that went down, and it's not completely all him. There's stuff that Iger put in place that happened, right? But still, one of the reports that we did hear at the time, and I don't think it ever got to the level of Foggy versus Perlmutter, because that really got in a headbutt, and I think there was some situation where it was kind of like 2 to 3 projects came out and it cemented Feige. He's like, yeah, he's the guy. Because that Perlmutter was the guy that's like, we're not making Black Panther. We're not making Captain Marvel. They don't sell, blah, blah, blah. I think he tried to do like a hostile takeover of Disney through the board or something a couple years ago, right? Like very mega, like ultra mega, like type of views where it just seems like he's kind of a white sexist pig in a sense, right? And I guess, sure, he's motivated by money, but like, sure, Captain Marvel 2 bomb, but look at the first one. Look at Black Panther. So at the time, Feige was right to make those moves when they didn't want to, and he turned out being right? That could have been the ones that did. But I remember, I think there was rumors, it was like Captain Marvel or at least Black Panther, maybe both of them were supposed to come out, or they wanted to do them in phase 2, and he kind of put the kibosh on that, right? So I don't think it was to that levels, but if people forget that Chapek, when he took the head office and whatnot, he started to put other people under him that would go take some power from people like Feige. And that was a big thing where not only were they said, hey, make a bunch more content. We need content. And again, it's not all like, we don't know all these things, right? They still have to, we talked about how thinly spread, butter over too much bread that Feige a couple years ago got spread as far as his talent. People said they before, when they could get a hold of him and talk to him about projects, he would just be missing, and not because like he's hiding, just like they can't get him because he's so busy going tear at all these places, right? And even though on the Disney Plus side a lot of animations happen, there's a tons of stuff that they have at least gone back on, right? Deadpool and Wolverine, one film a year. This year, through them, I know Spider-Man's there, but through them, one film a year, right? With Doomsday, we've seen adjustments happen, and all those adjustments could have been for stuff they did that they thought were good ideas and were bad, right? But that was a big thing where Feige lost some power, and that to me never fucking made any sense whatsoever. Like, I'm not trying to be a Feige mark, but the guy, even though Avatar got its crown back, the guy finally made a movie that denounced Avatar, took that crown as the biggest movie of all time. That film made $1 billion in one weekend. Like, there was no highter time to be with Taylor. Leave me alone. I'm not talking about taxes. Come on now. He knows I'm on air. Ask me about GB taxes. Get a fucking accountant, my friend. Come on. So it was crazy, right? The fact that MCU was the highest they could ever get, and that's when, like, you know what, we're gonna take some of your power away. We were gonna, you're gonna do this. And I think the other thing wasn't like a big exec. I think it was like another Chapek brought in like another park guy, right? Because Chapek was a Chapek. Chapek, Bob, bad, but well, I can't say bad Bob, but Bob number two, like, he was a big parks guy, just like Josh D'Amore is here, right? So that was the fear of like, hey, this didn't really work out last time. And I think the people he brought above Feige and others were other like park people. So it's not like, hey, bad example, right? But we're bringing in Steven Spielberg, we're bringing in George Lucas, maybe not Lucas, but someone that they're not directing, they're not producing this stuff, but they want to be in a big company. So you're gonna go report them. Do I think Steven Spielberg should be like ahead of like Feige and the MCU? No, because I think he does different things. But at least you go, oh, okay, I could see this point X, Y, and Z. When it's bringing up people that I'm not gonna say don't know what they're doing, but haven't exactly specialized in this area, which people can change all the time, right? But when it's at the height, I think it's different if it was a changeover or even now, like, which I think they're not doing that. MCU's had their issues. You could make a case for now, like, oh, well, we're going to take this away from Feige, right? I think it's the opposite of like, hey, this thing's not going greatest. Let's get someone in there that might have a better idea. Like they said with this, who was the person there? With Dana Waldron. Like, is there a person or Dana? Is that a person that's probably more in tune with what's going on? Doesn't mean it's a good fit, right? We don't know that for sure. We don't get to know most of the stuff that goes on, right? And same thing, Chapek, whichever you want to call it, was said to be at first at that point they were happy with that pick, right? But then Iger had to come in retirement, so we're hoping that's what that means for the properties, that these things can kind of run a little bit more smoothly. So here's where we're getting to some things where they kind of have their sources and talk to different execs and everything like that. So there's three things here, and it's about Doomsday, Mandalorian, and Starfighter. Oh, excuse me. So Disney execs are reportedly very pleased with what they've seen with Avengers Doomsday. Sources say the film division doesn't believe the health of the MCU hinges on any single title. Rival studio heads privately predict that Doomsday will be the hot year's highest grossing film. I don't know why they have to privately. Like, I know it's your company, but I feel like you can easily look and be like, yeah, that will probably be the biggest movie for X, Y, and Z, right? So that's kind of like, why you like, you could put your name on that, right? But that's fine. They don't want to reveal sources. So two things. I think that obviously that's good, right? That doesn't mean it's a perfect film or gonna be a great film, but that's a good thing that they're confident with it. It's not like it'd be their like, we can, how do I word this? We don't know what execs enjoy. It's the same thing as test screenings. You can't take those to bank at all because you don't know what the person's enjoy. But I say at least this is a more positive report than Disney scrambling and really wondering what the fuck's going on over there with Avengers Doomsday, right? This is like, okay, this is looking good. And we have to see where the chips lie. That does not mean it's going to end up being as great as the other ones or be a success as far as critical, but at least it's a good thing that, okay, hopefully the wheels are moving in good fashion. This source says the film division doesn't believe the health of the MCU hinges on any single title. I can see that perspective a little bit with the other movies, because you can make a case for, oh, well, you had the Marvels and you had Ant-Man Quantumania and you had Thunderbolts, and then you also had Doctor Strange and Thor Love and Thunder and Deadpool and Wolverine, right? And Spider-Man No Way Home. I can see now where they go, well, it doesn't really matter if one bombs, it's on to the next one. We're gonna make do with that. I believe that in a current state right now, I think it is like a okay. Last year the films all kind of underperformed, but we're on Avengers, Doomsday, or even Spider-Man, right? And that can kind of save us. I agree with that, or even a better project. Even though I loved both Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, maybe just something better as far as for the general public that they're more interested in, right? Okay, sure. I have said this for a while, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating it for people, but I believe this, and I this is where I push back a little bit. This idea of it doesn't the healthy MCU doesn't hinge on a single title to a degree, because I still think Doomsday is a big chance to get a lot of Lapsed fans back. So I'm not saying that let's say Doomsday and let's say Doomsday Secret Wars just disappoint. Overall, critically, fan wise, who knows about money, but that way, right? Kind of similar to me, or it's big division, right? Because of course you'll have people, I hate Endgame, they did this. Yeah, okay, sure. But the majority of the general audience loved that movie and went back more and more for, right? Came out in droves, right? I'm talking about those type of people. And that's what we're going to find out, but the film we'll talk about next. But with Rise of Skywalker, to me, it felt like, and he was sold, but it felt like that caused a division and made people less interested in the brand. So I'm not saying if Secret Wars and Doomsday fail on that level, right? To kind of reunite the fan base or just get people excited for it. I'm not saying, oh, Marvel's dead. They can never do this again. No, they can still do another Avengers film down the line. They got X-Men, they got Spider-Man. To me, it is like a bonus. And I think there is some people that if they're on the edge of having superhero fatigue, if an Avengers film disappoints, I think that is a, you know what? I'm good with superhero stuff, you know? Like, I'm not that way right now, Game of Thrones. I'm going to watch it, but with Night of Kingdoms, which I hear is great, when I got another spinoff, I was just like, I'm kind of good with Game of Thrones spinoffs now. Now, that's the thing. I've heard great things from Taylor and Kirkland. I've heard great things from other people. That has made me go, okay, I'm going to check out that show now it's done. That's the same way I'm talking about with the Doomsday or Secret Wars, right? Even those people that might be a little on the fence, if they hear it's great, okay, I'll go see it in the theater. Where if they hear it's bad or they hear it's this, I think you can push people away on these bigger films. I think the bigger films, I think the health, not the entirety of the health, but at least a good percentage of it will kind of, or in, kind of show the path of what you're going to have to deal with in the next phase as far as getting people in. Because before, I'm this person that says they did not have a failing film to Ant-Man Quantumania. So when people go, oh, it was eventually going to fail, to me, it's not I don't believe the thing that, oh, if it's a good film, people will come out. No, but it was the brand, right? And I think with Ant-Man and other things, the second these films started to get a little waving and they didn't have the full quality that I think they used to in the past, to at least even be a 6 out of 10 and tell the natural story in a progression way that all made sense. Again, also not even quality, just the whole storyline was very all over the place. That's when people started to check out. To me, it's no coincidence that when we got Rocky Roads in the MCU, like really Rocky Roads, not just like, hey, why is Tony Stark trying to get the Hulk in the Avengers? But that doesn't make sense later, right? Not that type of stuff, not little stuff. When like multiple projects in a row got rocky, the MCU and its success got rocky, right? Strike, COVID also happened. That really pounded down on it too, right? But to me, the fact that those things happen and then the MCU people kind of checked out, that's the thing, right? Like even Emily, she enjoyed the MCU, but she's like, she didn't catch up on some stuff, but she didn't feel the need to go watch everything because she was disappointed by some stuff or just didn't feel okay. I'm not invested anymore, right? So I don't exactly agree. I think the big event films that is your Super Bowl, that is your way to get people in that are never in, right? And I think if Doomsday and Secret Wars hit a home or get the person home, I'm not gonna say hit a home run, but get the player home, then it's a win, or even a third base, maybe, right? If it's a double, a single, or an out, then I think there's a lot of people where the Avengers and Marvel won't get back to where it was before, right? They might not be as excited for X-Men or the next project. So I don't fully agree with that. Now we get to the Star Wars portion of the story. Some Disney staffers are confirmed or are concerned that the unconventional 30-second Super Bowl spot for Manalorian Grogu failed to spark excitement. Like it's one of these things again where it's like, oh, someone privately says this. It's like they're concerned. There's no concern. Like it happened. That was nothing. They spent all that money, and that's why I'm so curious about Star Wars and where they are, right? Because we don't know if it's bullshit. There's so much stuff that happens, but with we always thought it was okay. Disney does it thing, and of course you have to check in with people. But most time, Feige makes his decisions. Kathy makes his decisions, right? And we don't know if this was the Kathy call before she left or Filoni and Bresden. But still, it's weird when we hear like, hey, they want to bring Robert Downey back as Iron Man, or just back, and then he's gonna play Doctor Doom. Well, we gotta clear the Iger. It's like, oh, really? And same thing with the Hunt for Ben Solo thing, right? We thought all this time with Star Wars maybe putting the kibosh on some of these projects. They go, I don't see how Kylo Ren can be alive, so don't do that. So this is what I wonder. And honestly, this is the marketing department, right? So it's its own different department. I just feel like when the brand is the way it is and the Super Bowl's coming up, is there not more eyes on this? Is there not somewhere like, hey, what you guys doing for it? Oh, this is the idea. And maybe they went, oh, that sounds fun. I remember the Clydesdale ad, cool. But then they see, they go, oh, actually, that didn't play. Maybe me and Taylor, and we're not alone. Many people speculated. That's why that trailer come out. They definitely took a blow. That was one of those I always talk about, like in the boxing match. They took a punch and they fell down. The knockout is, we'll see with May 22nd what happens. But they're on the ropes right now for sure. And I don't even think that trailer caused excitement. The biggest thing it caused for us was, I like that kid. We got a meme out of it. I've seen people not talk about this thing many places. And granted, I'm not online as much as I am anymore, but for those times, sporting events, big trailers, cons, I am on when I'm collecting news. And you see people talking about, and you see just seeing the algorithms now, right? That wasn't much. I saw those videos where it was like, 4 or 5 hours where it took for this trailer to hit like 1 million. Now, granted, stats on YouTube always take a bit of time to catch up, but still, there's other trailers that do that in 30 minutes, an hour. So it's just, there is such a lack of excitement, I think, for this movie. I think we are getting that Thunderbolts 300 to 400. I still lean to 400, like a 450, but that's where I'm just always curious where, okay, if they were, like, what do they track and what do they not track as far as their brands if they are watching over them, right? So yeah, they're concerned. The 30-second spot failed to spark excitement. Don't be concerned. It's a true thing, and you need to be concerned about that. And I agree with this. Bubsy's not in the chat, but he put 300, 400 million, lock it in. They're already getting ahead and saying, well, Star Wars fans will actually enjoy Starfighter more. LOL. And that's exactly what I thought about this, because then the next two statements were, there's a sense that Sean Levy's Starfighter is more likely to satisfy the Star Wars fans when it hits theaters next spring. Sources who've seen the footage praise Ryan Gosling's performance and suggest Levy has recaptured the franchise's spirit of fun. And that word, recaptured, I promise you, we're going to hear that a lot. I guarantee you they're going to run with that. That's going to be like a buzzword or a word adjacent to that. Because I agree with S-Bubs that already, because yes, these are them talking to sources, but as we've seen in news all the time, in sports, in wrestling, some news gets out there on purpose that's supposed to be like, hey, this is a rumor, right? There is a notorious wrestling personality that would go to a scooper whenever they want something out and would put that out there, and everyone was kind of like, oh, that's a Paul Heyman thing, right? Like, that's from that guy, and you would know 100% because it's not from him, but it's just like the way it was worded or just this particular like situation. It's like, oh, that comes from that person, right? And that does kind of feel like and granted, again, it's as long as it makes that amount, because I think they've said it's like 187. Let's wait till we get the actual budget, but let's say it's even 200. If they make 400, that's probably better than what they'd make on doing Disney Plus, because I think all the subs they have, for the most part, unless they get like a Stranger Things or Game of Thrones phenomenon on their hands, I think the subs are just going to go up and down as it goes around based on a few content and like what the price is that month, right? I don't think Mandalorian Grogu season 3 would have, or season 4 now, would have made subs go up because of the quality of those shows now, right? We talked about that the viewership was way down on Mandalorian season 3. Who knows? Maybe people just checked out. That's some other stuff. Whatever it may be, people are watching it less, so they probably saw the writing on the wall. And then plus Moana 2, hey, let's just make some money. So that's where it feels like this is just, let's take season 4, make it into a movie, make what we can with it, and then really focus on Starfighter. I do believe they probably had that feeling beforehand. I just think that to the degree that they've focused on Mandalorian is even lesser than I even thought they would. I thought it would be like, let's get out there, see what Grogu does, and then make our money and move on to Starfire and promote that, because that's coming out on the Star Wars 50th anniversary. You're going to have New Hope. I do think they're going to we're going to get to a sense where it's almost like Ant-Man Quantumania or Eternals. Mandalorian Grogu, when it comes out, then in a year or two, it's never going to feel like it even came out. It's just going to feel like a thing that they just like shadow dropped on the world, right? And I could be wrong. We never know. Like, there's stuff in the box office that's crazy that surprised me. And then with Starfighter, Who knows? Like, is more likely to satisfy Star Wars fans? I would think that because, like, I'm hoping that Starfighter is not just going to seem like a TV movie, right? And then sources say about Ryan Gosling's performance. There's no surprise there. And again, this is just like just saying shit, right? Because Ryan Gosling's great in it. Yeah, sure, I believe that because Ryan Gosling's one of the best in the world. I probably have him on that list of that best actors, but we'll see. And then to just Levy has recaptured the franchise's spirit of fun. I can see him doing that. That's not exactly what I want recaptured for Star Wars. I kind of want the magic to be recaptured, not just the fun, but I get what they're saying there. So before we move on, Superman Mike says, do you think MCU can keep using nostalgia as a cheat code when it comes after Secret Wars? Sorry, I did not mean to cough into the mic right there. That's a good question, and I will talk about that after this first ad break. And we are back. I think it's a twofer, Mike, because I think if Secret Wars and Doomsday goes well, then yes, right? They can say this is the closing the multiverse. The multiverse can always reopen, right? Very easy with comic books. Nothing's ever sacred, right? So I think if these work, yes. And the thing about nostalgia is there's always a new generation experiencing it, right? So at some point, Mike, when we're old, when we're 50 or 60 or whatever, and now there's people like my kids, right? For them, like I watch Garfield and Toby with them, but I'm excited when we go see Spider-Man. I think everyone will see it, especially Ellie, my third daughter. She is like super into Spider-Man right now. She loves Spidey and Friends. We're watching the 90s animated shows. She's like in the live action movies that we're watching. She's like all in on Spidey. So it's great. Very excited to watch the real life movie with her when we get there. And that's what we call it, the live action movie. We call it real life because live action just wasn't transcending over to them. But that's the thing where for those kid mics, when we're, Ellie, who's 4 years old, when we're old and dusty, for them, when they see Tom Holland come back as Spider-Man, the same age as Toby, right? Like in his 40s or 50, that's their nostalgia, right? So that's where it's like, even if Doomsday and Secret Wars don't work, I don't think people will be worried about that in 20 years, right? Like I think that's more a 10-year effect, even 15. But once you get to 20, like definitely 30, people have moved on. And if it's that thing where it's also just like, oh, now let's say Marvel, let's say Secret Wars and Doomsday both completely suck, right? And they damage the brand and the MCU dies like this iteration. All that it takes is, okay, look at what happened from Batman Robin to Batman Begins, right? Let's say Feige goes away, the brand either goes away or puts out a few movies once in a while, and there's like a 5-year break or whatever, and they put out phase 1 of this or phase 2 or whatever they don't call phases, and they start to go again. You can save the brand that way with some time, right? So that's why for me, I think nostalgia, you can never kill it. So I'm going to say, as far as for art, like the kids and the people that are the next generations, no, because they'll want to see the Tom Hollands, the other people. Like for us, it's Chris Evans, but whoever they cast as that Captain America, they might want to see them come back, right? The same way as what people that grew up with Rey and Kylo and Finn and Poe, like they'll want them to come back for these Star Wars movies, right? Same thing, Hayden, right? Like people were very much excited to see Hayden back for Ahsoka. So in the long-term effects, no. In the short term, I think that all depends on the movies. Because I think if it gets to a point where it just feels like it's just cheap AI cutscene fan service, like to me, that's what the Mario movie is. Like and people like the Mario movie. And this is the thing, Mike, right? In my opinion, the Mario movie is very mediocre and the Minecraft movie, not good. I think both of those kind of have like nostalgia fan service at their core. So that's where it's like, even if these movies are like a 6, 5, 4, a 10, but they kind of hit on some big moments that make you remember what you felt, then I think they're okay. So I think that I think for me, my biggest concerns are the story of this movie and the story of how it impacts the past MCU. I don't care as much as the future because that's not written. The past, right? Like, just little rumors we've heard about the Steve Rogers stuff. Not only him coming back, I don't like. It's just like certain storylines that I don't know if I've talked about on air that are out there. It's just like, I really don't like this would actively hurt my enjoy, like Scrody, right? Like Skrull Rhodey. They've never confirmed, but if they go back and be like, oh yeah, since Civil War, Rhodey was a Skrull. Yeah, that impacts it. That's a shit decision right there. So for me though, what I'm saying is story of characters, the story, the plot, and what it's done to the MCU. That's stuff I'm worried about. I think the hype moments and the nostalgia and the fan service, I think they do a pretty good job of that, the MCU and the Russos. So I think they'll nail that. And if they nail that stuff, I think the GA will be fine with still like nostalgia and fan service as we go along. So I think they got that going on. I think they'll be okay. So yeah, let's see here. What do we got next? Oh, okay, so this is what happened with the Batman, right? Before I got busy and I couldn't do another cast, my topic was going to be, because Clay had shared this to me and then went around. There was a scooper, Daniel RPK. I put him in the B tier. There was a report going around that in his Discord, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not bringing it up because it was just proven gone, right? But he said, Gunn wants Batman 3, streamlined or just fast forward or whatever, like fast tracked. He wants it fast tracked because he's kind of come to this conclusion that, he doesn't want two Batman coming around, so he'd rather just Matt Reeves finish the trilogy, get that off, and then you can have Batman come in, right? And for me, I was like, oh, that is perfect, because that's what I've been pitching, right? I'm saying, you don't know what happens, and we'll bring up because Fan McClay, who did check out Star Wars Alliance and the other things to do is Ranger Alliance on the GUA Geek Ultimate Alliance network, or network we produce over there. He did point out something that I completely agree with. But I've been saying for a while that if the DCU can rock and roll for a little bit and you got some hits, wait on Batman. We've gotten so much Batman. They're doing a Batman over there with Pattinson. Finish that off. Kill it in a sense of just that franchise. After 3, you can't do more spin-off shows or more, but let's say 3, it's done, and then bring your Batman, because people are always going to want to see Batman, right? It's not, they can be saying, oh, when are we going to get there? They were saying about the Fantastic Four and X-Men in the MCU, right? Now, granted, they didn't show up in droves for Fantastic Four, but I think for X-Men they will, right? Or even Spider-Man, when Spidey getting in there. People will wait for the characters that they truly love. So I could still see the DCU going for 3 to 4 years, even 5, and no Batman, and it could thrive. Now, the reverse of that rumor, when we thought it could have been true, is a couple movies bomb, don't do well, then yeah, you got to hit the Batman button, right? And that's what Clay said, and I completely agree, where a couple movies underperform, again, it's time you do Batman right now, right? So, but then what happened? Because it's this page called Everything DC, which I don't know if I think I do follow, because I just follow multiple news accounts, because you never know what you miss, right? We look at S tier news all the way to, I'd say, C tier. D tier is where we draw a line, that's where we draw a line. But that happened. They put that out there. Okay, and I think it's like a Discord that you got to be Patreon for, and that's why you see it. And then RPK came out and said, I didn't say this at all. And he never fully clarified, but he just I didn't say this. I didn't report this. So I'm not sure if he said something that people misconstrued or it was just completely made up, but he had just said, no, I didn't say this, right? So that topic I had went, okay, well, I'm going to take that away, because I know we've had pushback, and luckily we haven't lately, because I feel like, I think the last 2 years we've been fine. I think a couple of years before, people in the survey said a couple things, but I think they understand our preference now. And when I've said stuff like, the reason we cover, I'll always use this example. We cover C tier news because the week before Comic-Con, me and Dylan covered a C tier rumor of Downey's playing Doctor Doom. And it seems stupid and dumb, shouldn't be a thing. And then it came out, oh, that's actually true, right? Because sometimes people do have sources, they work in the industry or have a friend in the industry. That's how it happens, right? So to me, that's why we cover them. That's why I think it justifies the C tiers, the B tiers, more news, because it's just also because it's fun to speculate. It's that idea of let's just talk about, right? Same thing as casting rumors. I like talking about the idea of, okay, what if this person was doing that? How would we feel about that, right? But when it's even a B tier and the person comes out and says, I didn't report this, then I go, okay, as much as I would have loved to dive deep and talk more about it, I can't make that a really main topic. Okay, fine. And I don't do that, and I got busy, so it was okay. I didn't end up doing a show. And then I see multiple podcasts that I either follow or don't follow, because if you listen to one, algorithm's like, you might like this topic, right? And what bugged the shit out of me, what bugged me so much, and I'm not going to drop names, it's fine, and it wouldn't even be like a big argument if it did, but just and there was one I listened to, and then one I don't listen to, and I listened to, because I didn't listen to the topic because it's a nothing topic, because it's not happening, right? But both I listened to, and the person that I listen to frequently, and then a person that I don't, just was curious. They talk about this part, and they just never even mention that that the person that the source is from, oh, it's from this. They don't mention all this person came out and dispute it. And it's days later. It's not just the same day. And I get it. That happens to people all the time. Happened to myself a couple weeks ago, right? I think Espo's guy in the chair. I think a little bit different, that I do work very hard on the Geekverse podcast. We work all the time. I think sometimes we work harder than the people that do it as a fucking full-time living. Sometimes when I listen to podcasts or see what they produce, it's the amount of stuff we're producing, I feel like we are better than many people there that sometimes just half-ass it, that are just we can just do this, or there's a certain type of content. But I digress, right? That's fine. There's a chip on my shoulder where it's just you got this following, why do you do that? And I put as much time as possible as I can, but this is still not my day job, right? It's not my current full-time job. So there's stuff I'm going to miss, like the Saw thing a couple weeks ago when I was talking about James Wan directing it. And then it came out that someone got misquoted and he wasn't directing it. Espo's pointing that out. And I missed that, right? So I know it can happen. And that, though, was within the 24 hours. This was days later, and people were reporting this as like a thing of like, oh, even though it's a smaller tier, it's like, we're here in Realms, we're talking about this. And it's like, I don't think it's a lack of research. I think it's, well, this will get some clicks, right? And I get it. We all have to do that. There's SEO, there's titles, there's things that you even got to word them away where it's like, okay, not that it's like mischievous, but just like, what is the, especially when it comes to spoilery stuff, it's tough to talk about, but like, what's the best way to get the bang for your buck for people to listen or download to justify obviously doing an episode, right? Because the amount of episodes we do now, we could never do for free. And that's why we love being on Spreaker. And that's why we especially love people on Patreon, because you guys support us and make it that we can do all this content for you. So we love you for that. But that's where I just get annoyed when I listen to it. And because it's like, oh, it's going to hurt their revenue or hurt the story, they don't talk about it, right? They're like, oh, we're not going to say it. So it's just like, man, I saw that and I was like, that just as a mini rant just bugged me that people were doing that and not talking about the disproving of it. Cause it's like, is that even like a main story worthy? Cause when I had as the main story today was going to talk about that idea of use it like, cause what happens is the more those thumbnails and podcasts go around, and I'm not somebody, I really don't care as far as, cause I've said this on Blogger Stream, cause there's a couple people in there that really care about the stuff. I don't care about scoopers and like their personal stuff or if they're grifting. That's where we talk about it as news. We talk about the tier. We say what they've gotten right and not got right as far as our percentages, how much we would believe it. And then we just have fun and talk about the news, right? It's not a life or death situation. Same thing with these people. I'm not going to hold the knife to their throat. But you did this. It was just crazy to me that this was going on. And then that's what happened was I kept seeing people aggregate this news as like a thing, and then it just got to the point where that's what it is now, that he's fast track Batman 3, and James got of course come and said, oh no, this isn't happening. That doesn't matter to me because Gunn's like, you kind of, played with the truth a couple times more than once the past couple of years since he's been the head. But it was just crazy when it steamrolled. So it's like, would I like that rumor to be true? Sure, that'd be great because I feel like he'd leave Matt Reeves alone and we can wait on Batman. But he said it wasn't, right? And even stuff like, we talk about this on the gimmick, sometimes there's something that'll happen on a wrestling program, and then almost like right after, a scoop will come and be like, well, this is the plans going that forward. It's like, technically, yes, I'm sure someone said, oh, this angle leads to this, but everybody with a fucking set of eyes and ears could have figured that out if you watch wrestling like as a big fan. So it's like, is this really a scoop? We talk about all the time of like, I could have made a count, set him a scooper and scooped this and then got it right? So there was a scoop going around too where it's like, oh, well, the Brave and the Bold are going to heavily feature the Al Ghouls in some of their stories. It's like, well, no shit. No matter what, even if Talia and Raz aren't in the first one, Damien is an Al Ghul. His mother is fucking Talia Al Ghul. And it's not something like, oh, years ago they said this and then James Gunn announced it, right? It's like, oh, okay. They had it on the money. They had heard rumblings about the Al Ghul's being the Brave and the Bold, and here it is. It's like, this is not a scoop. Like this story, the story is based off those characters. So it's that to me, it's like, but I see it spread. It's like, all right, I get it. Slow news week, right? So there's my mini rant on the Batman. Not much news. Hoping to get some more casting for the Batman soon. I would love to get some of these other people cast, as far as we got Harvey Dent's dad, and I think there's some other roles. So very excited for all that. Let's see here. What did I have left? Because I got how much time I got? About half an hour left. So I think I hit on all the topics here. But I will go to the box office one first. Mortal Kombat 2. I'll hit on that and then I'll talk about the other stuff quickly. But box office I'll talk about more because I got a question from Mike, and then the other news, if I can't get to it, I'll save it for next time, but smaller. Mortal Kombat 2 trailer came out today. It looks good. I don't get me wrong. I still think this is a movie that you could easily cut into like a very fun trailer. I think that this is that. I think people that, and I didn't care that much because it's a video game adaptation, right? They're going to change stuff, but people that really were like, oh, there's no term, there's no fighting. I don't know if there's going to be a for sure tournament, but it definitely looks like they're doing a lot more one-on-one fights, it looks like they're saying the whole like, oh well, each realm's in danger and yet and there's a fighter chosen from it. Great, right? I think Carl Urban's doing a great job as Johnny Cage. I think his cast makes sense when that character, like he's playing the main character and kind of anchor that film. So it looks like a good time. I will be there for it. You can check out, we've reviewed the first one show re-release on Patreon. We did a commentary track, which was tons of fun to the very first Mortal Kombat movie. So I think it's looking good. Now, granted, I think I still had it on the list, or it was at least a contender of movies that could bomb me shit. Yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 could, because I don't know what their wavelength is for wanting another movie, right? But I think the first trailer was like, okay, it had a potential, and the second trailer was just more of, this looked like it could be fun and a good time. I think when you're adapting Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat story, or games that can have a story, but it's one you're not exactly adapting, or it's a bit too wild, even then, like you couldn't just do the full tournament as a movie. Fudge numbers, just go for that fun aspect, right? I think when we talk about the Resident Evil news with Zach Cregger, it's like that's something that I think they've not either done the fun stuff or they've not adapted the story, which the stories are very cinematic, right? And I guess we talk about this now quickly. The report was, let's see, what was the full quote here? Let me get it here. This is from Deadline. Director Zach Cregger reportedly was given carte blanche by Sony Pictures to do whatever he wanted with the upcoming Resident Evil films. Now, a Resident Evil film. And that's where we're talking about Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat to me is a franchise where obviously there is a story, but that can get very convoluted, very out there, and very grandiose. To me, it makes sense. Let's do the more fun version, right? Now, granted, Resident Evil can also have, check out me and Dylan SideQuest, Resident Evil 6 can have a very convoluted, nonsensical, what the fuck is going on, right? But I also think there's some stories like a 2 and even a 4 where you could concisely put those together, and it is a very cinematic thing about those boss fights, very cinematic franchise, right? And now there was a point where I didn't care when this happened because I thought, okay, I like Resident Evil and Zach Cregger, great, let's see what he can do. Now, like dipping my toes back in the franchise and kind of falling in love with it, it is something where, and I know he's a fan of the games, so and that's the thing, right? Like, where the Resident Evil games, there's many that are, hey, we're following these characters you've known for the whole time. Let's see what their next story is, right? But then there's Evil 9, like Ashley or Grace Ashcroft. Looks like new character, new path. Might link up with Leon. We'll see. Resident Evil 7, the Winters family. That's new, right? And even some like Leon Lee was new, right? I hope that what I want, and I think he had said this, that like he wants to have the essence of when you play the game, and that's what I want, right? But I do still want to feel like it's in that world. I think Resident Evil can be funny and have some comedic beats, especially, Leon likes to drop one line or two, but I don't know if I want to get fully comedic like the third act of Weapons, right? Like how it happens to a certain character. I don't know if I want to go that way. And even like Justin Long with the measuring tape, it's like in Barbarians, can that work in Res? I don't know, and not feel it. So I hope it's more just he's very passionate about Resident Evil. He loves us. He wants to do a story in the world, but doesn't want to adapt those characters, which I do understand, right? Like, I would personally love it. Like, I think there's, like I said, Resident Evil 2. We haven't watched Welcome to Raccoon City, so maybe it hits on those beats, but you could easily do an hour and a half, I'd think, other than Mr. X, like, cheaper adaptation of that very easily and get newer actors, everything, which I think with Raccoon City they tried to do, but I think it's just supposedly not a good movie. I don't wait till to see, but there's multiple times when I was playing these games where I go, okay, there's some stuff that's too big, but there's some things like, why did they, with the Mila movies, why was it just like illusions and not just fully adapting some of the stuff, right? Because I think there is some the reason people love these games, some general great character moments and stories. So I do get where he's coming from if that's a lot of baggage and you don't necessarily want to do that. But at the same time, I hope when I hear carte blanche and do whatever he does, I hope it's not a situation where just last year, Until Dawn, I don't want it to just be Resident Evil in name. I want Umbrella logos. I want, even as allusion to other characters or things that have happened, even if you hear the words Raccoon City, great. I don't want to be a movie that you could just completely go, okay, let's see, the Napoleon character is deaf on Weapons Evil level comedy. Oh yeah, I guess so. What's his like it's like Ramon Salazar, right? I think is who you're talking about. Let's see, yeah, Ramon Salazar. Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it's I'm trying to think, like, Here's the thing, Mike. Like, I think in concept that character looks comedic, but then they end up still being very frightening, right? Where the Justin Long thing, that's just like a full on joke in the middle, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying that hurts Barbarian or Weapons. And with Weapons, like, that's the thing, like, what happens in Weapons to that character, I wouldn't want that to happen to like a Ramon Salazar as like the ending of that character that ends up being a huge monster with multiple heads and stuff like that, right? So I do see your point, and there's some weird stuff in Resident Evil you can play with. I think it's just he has to bounce that the right way, right? I still lean to it being a darker franchise, but you're right, they can get very wacky, and there's multiple things that I need to rebrush on as far as some spin-offs I haven't played and just old games I haven't played in a while. So, but I think my more sense is, even if you can bring in that comedy, that's not my worry. I just don't want to be in title only. Like, that's my thing. I don't want to be like, I don't even like, if we do a movie and there's not even a mention or a look of the Umbrella logo, it's like, okay, this was just to sell it, right? This was I think it was called Simon Says Die Hard, and it worked out for that, right? But that's the notorious story. Die Hard 3 was not Die Hard 3. It was a different script that could go, oh, this could be a Die Hard movie. I hope this isn't just Zach Cregger has an idea. We have the IP of Resident Evil. Well, this would be a Resident Evil movie, right? As someone now that, I've always loved the franchise, but as I talked about many times, kind of fell out of love with it. I hope that's not what it is. I hope it's not just a way to, we can sell some extra tickets by doing that. Because if it does, then I will thoroughly make sure I bring down some scores. Now, is that going to matter? No, like, they'll hopefully make their money. And I hope it's great, and I hope it's a success, because then my hope is that we could get actual stories adapted or similar things adapted or just versions of that, especially with some of these characters as well. But that's been the case for many years, and I don't think that's happening, right? So we'll see. And then finally, the box office. So let's bring up here the numbers. Let's bring out the box office. This is more like a preview of last week because I didn't get to talk about it. And there's one in particular I want to talk about. Wuthering Heights at number 1 again. That's great. That's for the Tuesday, right? So the same thing as last Tuesday. Did very well. Where is weekend box office? Here we go. So this time, Goat actually had a 38% drop. Pretty good. That was number 1 at 16 million. And then Wuthering Heights had a 57 drop, which is pretty good. 14 million. What is that sitting at now, right? It's going to be, because I talked about that during my review about, I thought I could make about 200. Yeah, so it's about 158. So I think it's definitely going to cross the 200 line. So that's great for that. What just makes me excited is that obviously it's 80 million. So let's say if you just had to double it, sometimes more, but double it, 160, where we about to get in that profit zone. It doesn't make, like, if this was like a big bomb or something, it doesn't put Wuthering Heights in, or doesn't put Emerald Fennell in some like director's jail, right? And at the same time too, I think this is even more impressive again for adapting this very old book that's not in the consciousness of a lot of people. Emerald Fennell's movies have not been barn busters, right? Because what was let me just search Emerald Fennell here. I think it is. I heard a couple interviews where I was like, I think I've been saying her name wrong for years, right? But like Saltburn made like a $1.05 or something at the box office. Okay, let me open them up here to see. But because like it's not like she has other movies that have done well. Saltburn, 21 million, and then Promising Young Woman was 18 million. For her, massive win, right? It's like 200 million, like massive percentage up, like all that could be soon to be like 100% up from, or no, like way past that, right? Like times it. So yeah, Promising Young Woman was also COVID. I agree with that, Mike, but I also don't think like that's not like it's not a movie that would, I think, blow up the box office, right? It's still like a sexual assault thriller in a sense, right? So it's a movie that I still don't think it could have done better when it's not during COVID, sure, especially the Oscar buzz and everything, but I don't think it would have done what Wuthering Heights or some other directors done, right? So she has a name, she's getting out there, but at the same point, Saltburn was a success because of streaming. It really was. Came out around Christmas time, and that's why I remember talking about Christmases or New Year's. My sister seeing it, right? I remember I saw Saltburn with two other people, maybe 3 other people in my theater. One got up and left, like at the beginning of the third act, was done with it. I think once Barry was on that grave, that was it for him, right? Or a little bit before that, I can't remember, but that movie was not for a lot of people, right? Wuthering Heights, I think is for a lot more people. It's definitely for more mainstream, and that's why I'm just happy it goes forward. Goat makes sense because until Hoppers, there's not much kids stuff going on. Crime 101, that's a bad one because that's almost like 100 million. So that's not doing well. Send Help still doing great. Made 4.4 million. What's that at now? Let's take a look because that had like what 40 million budget, so 83 million, so it's double it. So yeah, maybe get to about 100 million. That's good for that. How to Make a Killing. Obviously, this is like another thing on going to the whole Glenn Powell. This is a tough thing, right? Because sure, Glenn Powell domestic box office only 3.5 million. And this came out to really like nothing. It felt like crickets, right? And then the reviews for it weren't great. So yes, it goes away that whole conversation of is he a new box office draw like the next face or blah, blah, blah. No. As I talked about when we talked, I think it was a few months ago at the end of the year with Quality, him, and Sweeney, it just proved it once again. It was not that. I always thought that was the case, but people kind of have this idea of maybe these new stars coming out can do that. No. Even Chalamet, when he's doing these, like, they are hits, but they're not also like blockbusters, right? They are, opposed to their budget, they're doing very well and he can open them, but it's not like even some of the when was it like what was last year, like a complete unknown, right? Like when we looked at the budget, it's a lot more than it in my opinion probably should have been, right? So it's like, what is the success rate there? I don't think Timmy is just like Tom Cruise of previous Rock, right? I still think because what you had Running Man and then you had this, but you look at Sweeney, see, she had the same thing, Americana, and then Christie, and then Housemate came out, big hit. It is a perfect storm nowadays. I think people will buy a ticket because they like Glenn Powell, but they also have to, one, I think miss him a little bit. He's put a lot of stuff, but also like has to be the right project. And I think Housemate was the right project for her, and I think they'll find one from Glenn Powell. But obviously another kind of big hit on him as far as what people were thinking there, right? Zootopia still, it's on, I don't think it's on Disney Plus yet, but it's on VOD. 2.2 million, still making that great. I think it just, what did it pass today? Past Minecraft for domestically, so for last year, so that's great. And then I haven't seen it, and we'll get into this weekend. But Psycho Killer was gonna see it, and I've said before, even April, who did see it, who loves horror movies, is a big defender of them, has even admitted that, hey, like, and we all have those, right? Gives sometimes a ratings a bit more positive skew because she likes that genre. Even her review in the Discord, she's the only one that saw it that I know is like, I don't know about this movie. Like for everybody, right? Like there's things she liked about it, but when I saw 3.5, that was low. And I always, when you see a movie, if you're interested in it, of course, go see it. But when you're someone like myself that can limitedly see movies, right? Good, I got all my kids and jobs and everything and stuff going on, just trying to hang out with Emily. I have to pick and choose. So when I see a 40 or 30% audience score and then 0% Rotten Tomatoes by the critics, that is one that, yes, I will happily wait till VOD. I'm still going to watch it. I was interested in. I was just very disappointed. I could not believe. Not only was that embargo like the day of, seeing a 0. I haven't seen a 0 in a long time. And is it still, has anyone given it a positive review yet? Let's see. Let me just search up here. But that's disappointing because me and Kirkland were talking about seeing it, but I was like Kim, where I remember I didn't watch, so it's at 10%. Okay, so it's went up a little bit, 37% for the for the audience, 3 fresh scores. So there you go. But yeah, only made 1.6 million. I don't know. Did that have what is the budget? It looked like cheaper. There's not like a bigger star, but to me, I didn't see it's a 10 million. Yeah, it's gonna be a loser. That's gonna be unfortunately for them. I didn't see the trailer. At first, I saw I think I saw one trailer during a movie. I had no choice; it was right there. But I had heard Kirkland describe it on a Weekly Geek, and that sold it to me. And we were very excited. And I thought this could be a low-key hit of the year. Looks like it was not. So there you go. And then, so for this weekend, Scream, we'll talk about on the Monday, but Scream right now is projected to make anywhere from 40 to 55 domestically. But then it's kind of been weird because I saw it was like 30 domestically, and then I saw, okay, it was 60 global. So it's like, okay, that's good. But then I saw lots of people be like, get to 55, get to 60. So it's like, I again, tracking seems to be a bit all over sometimes with some of these movies. Granted, that's because you have so many sources doing them now, and usually the studio lowballs it. So maybe the studio's the one saying 60 or a 30. Either way, if it were to open up to 60 global, let's just keep it that global opening, that'd be the second best global opening behind Scream 5, which is just Scream, but the kind of kind of legacy sequel, right? In an age where legacy sequels were getting big, they were bringing people back, and they had a good young cast. So that still shows this is a kicking. That still shows that, as I talked about a couple weeks ago, I think it was Mike who has the question for this when he had Scream on his bomb list. I thought there's no fucking way, because as much as I agree with things that went down were really shitty, a lot of people either don't care about it or they never heard about it, right? With Melissa Barrera and the whole Gaza and Palestine thing and her tweeting about, which is so crazy because it's just like, there's so many other people that have mentioned about that and just haven't got shit canned or whatnot. Like, I don't know. It was a whole weird situation, right? So, but that's the thing where it's just like, I think that's a film community bubble thing, and they just want to see a Scream movie, and they are hitting they're doing like another legacy sequel in a sense, right? They're doing Sydney and Sydney and Gail are back full time, but then there's also a daughter, right? And I think we're all a sucker for like the daughter or son storyline, right? Because there's some potential there. And then they've teased around. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah. Oh, the double in that crack. Hell yeah. They've teased that other people are coming back. Not even teased. They're on the poster, right? Like Scott Foley, Matthew Lillard. So it's this idea of what they're going to do. I'm surprised it's the second global. I thought it would beat the last Scream, but I'm surprised it's that because I felt like we got that one trailer, and then the marketing from them's been really weird. They've been like dropping lots of little teasers, or even the last trailer. I think it was just like what was the one from this week? YouTube. Let me just find out. It was like 90 seconds or something like that. Let's see. Scream 7 trailer. One that came out. Yeah, the last trailer, final trailer, 58 seconds. And they've done something where, now granted, of course, we're all there. We've seen this happen with embargoes. The letterbox is locked until embargoes open. That's never happened. I'm surprised it hasn't happened, because we've seen that all the time where critics see it and they're not allowed to drop a review, but they can't because letterbox is not like an official website or review place, right? And there's a score before. It's locked. You could say it is for spoilers, and I think there is some of that, because I think obviously the killer is always out there, and that ruins, I think, half the fun, right? If someone knows that going in. And I think the idea of, I think we in the film community have an idea of how this is going with the people coming back, but other people don't, right? And there's that excitement to that, and some people probably don't even know, right? So I was surprised by just the kind of, I'd say, lack of marketing, but the global opening having that. But people want to see Scream, they want to see these characters. The returning nostalgia always helps. So Mike asked, let's see, Scream 7 preview. What are your hopes for the movie, the biggest fears, and where would you like to see franchise go forward, if at all? I've always wanted to Scream just like on an easy, superficial level, Mike. I always want to Scream during Christmas. I love horror movies during Christmas. You might see that from us in a couple years in one facet or another. So I'd love that. I think there was some pitch. I don't know if it was these characters or another. I thought there was some rumored script of them going to like a cabin on a winter break, and the killer gets them there, right? And that's great because there's no police, no nothing. I can't remember where the pitch was, right? And even to the pitches I heard of Ken Williamson's, like, what his trilogy would have been, don't love, right? So it's tough. Like, what are my hopes for the movie? I was talking about this in the Discord, right? I'll give a truncated version. I don't have much hopes because I'm not that excited for this movie. I love this franchise. Scream, the original one, to me is a top 10 horror movie easily with a bullet. I'd say more than, I think it's like a tie, but if I had to pick, Sydney is up there. There's a reason I liked the name, I like the name, but like the reason has the name and it's spelt that way, Sydney Prescott's easily my favorite final girl. And I think she's one that has the best evolutions of a character in the horror franchise. So my fear is there's two things. Is it a little unbelievable at this point that, man, a killer's come after her now? This would be the 5th time, because technically I won't count Scream 5 because they were after New Crop Appeal, right? And she just came in to help. And then obviously Scream 6, they didn't target her. So we're past the point. Like, it has jumped the shark in multiple ways. Truncated version, I got to try to answer this somehow, and I got about 7 minutes left. They jumped the shark because even fucking Nev Campbell back in the day after 3, it's like, if we're doing any more, we've kind of like, we're scraping the barrel. We should end there, and it'd be like trilogy talk about the right. And obviously West came back. But it's probably just money motivated, right? Even the stories coming out that like, oh, I didn't want to come back for X, Y, and Z. I get that. Nev Campbell is important in that franchise, but it definitely sounded like more of a money thing, and that's fine. Get your bag. You are the leader of that franchise, right? But it just sound like she got paid $7 million, then was very happy, and she said she had to stand by her character. I agree that you shouldn't have backseated them as much, but you got to find a way to make that work for everybody, right? So I digress. I think that's what, in my mere sentence of this is the fifth time a Ghostface killer is coming after Sidney Prescott. Um, that's already. I think it was more believable when it was okay. Sidney does hand it off, and then they are after a new crop of people. And I kind of like that where the original Ghostface are like, you know what? That whole thing she says in Scream 4, like, don't fuck with the original. It's like, you know what? We can't kill her. We can't get her. Sidney Prescott always fucking survives. We can't find a way. Like it's over, right? There, I just think now we're at that point where it is like, okay, another Scream with Sidney. What can you do? Okay, the daughter thing, right? And my fear is them killing her off. If they kill her off, and that's a full thing where I can review films and do the whole like, I'll take a side of the what I want you to do in my final score, but as an enjoyer of the film, I think with Dewey, I was kind of fine with. If Sydney, to me, who is like the ultimate final girl, doesn't, there's some characters that should get a happy ending, right? I talked about this. I was a big thing for Stranger Things. I was completely fine with those characters getting happy ending because they were fucking kids when all that stuff was happening. They haven't even had a life, right? Now, granted, you can say, oh, well, she has a husband and a kid, but it's like for her to be tormented since she was in high school, do we really want her to get fucking skewered by the 18th Ghostface killer? No, I don't personally. So my biggest fear is that, or even bigger than that, is some shit of making her the killer. There's so many people that have pitched that before, like, oh, she's gone psycho. No, that wouldn't. So I think there's actively things that could hurt the franchise, and that will, for me, that I will fully admit that on a critical level, I wouldn't fail it for, but that's why my reviews are a mixture of critique and what I like about a movie, or what I find is like a favorite, right? The best and favorite. If they were to make Sydney the killer, that's a fail for me. If they kill her, it's close to fail, but I need to see how it's done. But for me, it's probably, it takes the score down quite a bit. Unless the rest of the movie is really great, right? And where would you like the franchise going forward? I feel that it's just like, it's too late. I would have loved a movie where, even if it's a little bit different, what Kevin Williamson described what they're going to do with Emma Roberts' character, okay, that's something. I would love that if it's Scream 8, which they said they plan to do, so I'm sure that's just Sydney and Gale and the whole crew again, right? I would love to do a movie where you do, let's just say Scream subtitle, right? Scream, just new generation. I would never call it that. That's awful, but let's just say it's that, new gen, right? Or Gen Z. Scream Gen X. You do that, right? I would love a movie where it's from the point of view, I don't like saying this shit because you never know, right? But I love where it's a point of view from the Ghostface killer, where you know after the first kill who that fucking killer is, and it's like you're seeing them pull it off like a heist. I should take this out of the cast because I won't lie, very similar to a script, a transcript that I have. I'll stop talking, but I love that idea of seeing that, like, how could we pull it off, right? I would love a movie where it ends where we don't find out who Ghostface is, even if the person survives, or there's two Ghostfaces and we don't find out who the other one is. I would love it where, because now it's like, oh, we can't go after Sydney because she wins. We can't go after Tara, I think her name was, or whoever Melissa Barrow was, because she wins. We can't kill her. I would love a movie where Ghostface kills the main protagonist and they're on the next one, even if you don't know who they are. I think that'd be super scary, right? You kill the lead, you keep, let's say it's a group of 6, 7 maybe, right? I didn't mean to do that, but let's say it's 7 people. You kill the protagonist, 3 others, and you leave 3 characters behind. And wouldn't that be great if you fell in love with these 3 characters? They're survivors, but one of them might be the killer. And leading from, Scream Gen X to Scream Gen X Part 2, one of these characters that you grew to love, they're going to be the killer. You could cop out and make it a cop or someone else, sure, but like do that where it's like, you don't know. Some people might be unsatisfied, like, oh, that's not the way it goes, but that's what was great about the first Scream movie, was it was not traditional horror movie, right? And I think that's what I've heard about this, is that's another fear, is like, oh, just kind of a straight Scream movie, a lot about the lore. It's like, that's not the reason why I think people, that's part of it, but that's not the full reason why people fell in love with Scream, right? Was the commentary, the franchise. The last few movies did that a lot, so I could see them want to try and get away from that, but just something fresh, Mike. That's what I'd say. So I would love it. Like, that's a franchise I could pitch my ass off. Like I got multiple things I would love to do with it. And then you asked, also, if it's not too much of my field, where do you stand on the controversial road to it being made? That goes into also the lack of excitement, right? I can't stand here because Mikey said like you're gonna find a way to watch it where the company doesn't get money, and that's great, right? We've all done that before. We all have those situations where there's brands and companies that we watch and they're doing shitty stuff, right? So I have a line to a certain degree. The firing's not. I've said this before. A line for me is I will not watch Rush Hour 4 because it is directed by a fucking monster, right? And granted, I'm in the same situation with WWE and wrestling, right? There's a lot of wrestlers I enjoy watching there. I like, well, their product's actually pretty shit right now, but like there are times I can like the product, right? But then you have someone like Brock Lesnar come back who was not being sued, but he's in reports of a sexual harassment, sexual assault, weird, like a bunch of power, bad lawsuit stuff with the Vince McMahon stuff, right? So it's tough for one wrestler that is in this promotion, which some people can do, and that's fine. And then you're better. I can say you're better than me, right? But it's like if there's some of my favorite wrestlers right now, for this guy who pops up every few months, do I not watch every single Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley match because there's one fucking asshole that they employ that may or may not have done these things, right? It's tough. So that's where my line is. Okay, I will still watch this stuff, but now I watch less of it, or I don't watch that. And same thing too. Before I didn't watch the Saudi. They do shows in Saudi Arabia now, right? Or they've done that for the past few years. I did not watch those earlier shows because of everything that fucking happened in Saudi Arabia. But now that with a gimmick, and we started that from a content point of view, they do some of their biggest shows at Saudi, right? Like next year WrestleMania, which is their Super Bowl, that's at Saudi. So if I'm gonna produce that, or if I want to see the big thing, I can fully say, yeah, I watched a show that's on Saudi. I fucking hate it. You know, I wish it was other ways. I wish the company was better, but they get paid a bunch of money. So that's where, if Travis, you're to say, hey, you don't have your values. I understand. If someone, which I'm sure we will, because we always get that, and people know my fucking views on this. We did a fucking full stream for Palestine. People that might, and Mike, you might not even know, but people that are newer, a couple of years ago, it's still on YouTube. It's still there. We did a stream after a lot of the attacks happened. I saw her, and I was not even fully educated on the stuff happening there. Like, heard a little bit, but not fully educated. I had seen stuff there, and it was just horrified, right, of the stuff going on. And we just and this is why I love the guys so much at Geekverse. With Extra Life, obviously that's a easy thing, right? Sick kids, families that need help, everybody can support that, right? And we did this as well too with some of the riots, all the stuff happened for Black Lives Matter. But I love the guys where all this stuff, and I'm not saying no one on the podcast, we talk about town, no one on the podcast like is hardcore right wing MAGA, like, or even hardcore left wing, right? Like, I consider myself left leaning, but there's tons of right policies that I agree with. There's tons I absolutely do not. But I love that with that, which is a very touchy, controversial issue, because I think we removed them. But even during that stream, when we did that stream, there were people on the other side saying bad shit about this. How could you do this? Because it's like, obviously, it's a very code issue, right? The stream was not about that. The stream was money towards kids that need it. Money towards kids that get their fucking legs blown off because like they're in a war that like it doesn't even matter to them, right? Like it's not like they have nothing to do with that situation, and that's what that's about, right? So for me, my views are very there as far as the support there, and I don't think she should have been fired at all. But the company still has they completely can do whatever they want, and it's in their right to do that, right? So for me, that's another reason why I'm not excited, because yeah, I am one of those fucking people that she got fired, and then I'm gonna watch because like I do enjoy the franchise, I want to go see it. And to be honest, I said this in the Discord, I think because of that, because of the people coming back, and because of the surprises, I think it will do well for the channel and get new subscribers and even make stuff, because the money we make, like I said on Town Hall, I don't pocket much of it. I really don't. It'll pay for if I take a day off from work just for a break. I don't get paid for that, so it pays for that. Or most of my stuff, like we talk about this on the Bread and Butter with me and Dylan coming up. Every film festival we go to, it costs money, and lots of money ain't cheap, you know? So it's just like, if people think like, and again, it's also to pay for our time on the podcast and other content, like that's what it is. It is to keep it going. So that's where it's like, it would be kind of malpractice for us, especially the last couple years. Like, I think it was that way in 24, but last year I said this, when we did our top 10 episodes, like weapons, Sinners, there's another one I'm missing, and then the Alien Earth stuff. Those were tons in our top 15 or 20. Like, next to superhero stuff, like I won't pull up because I'm running out of time, but they did very well for us. And that is subscribers, that's downloads, that's monetization that's left on the window, right? So for me, that one is not as bad as a Brett Ratner because I go, this company viewed that it's to me a shit thing, but they view this is going to hurt their business. We don't want people talking about these views. We're going to part ways and we're going to go this direction. So it's not a completely a 100% I'm done with it, but it also does not make me excited, right? And it also makes it easier if this movie's shit that I can really rain down on, right? There's tons of times, especially when it's like independent stuff or other thing. There's times where I might feel something's awful, but if I know someone put the, and everyone's putting hard work, but if the situation calls for no one to really be like taking a task, like a great example is like a kid actor, right? If a kid actor shit, I'm just going, oh, they're all right. I'm not going to go after that person, right? And a kid actor, I'm never going to do that, right? But if it's another actor, like a Jared Leto, and he gives a shit performance, I got no fucking problem making sure I talk about it being a shit performance, right? Because in my opinion, and especially things that have come out again lately, I don't think he's a good guy. And that's a complete me based off other people's stories and whatnot, but I have no problem saying that. The same thing as we talked about the town hall, I have no problem saying any fucking thing about Donald Trump. I'm not talking about the right. I'm not talking, there's people on the right, sure, but I'm not talking about the Republican Party, their views. I'm talking about this fucking guy, this guy who, there's certain files being hidden because he may or may not like did bad stuff with a minor, right? That's the fucking guy I have no problem saying bad shit about. So that's where, if this movie sucks, I got no problem tearing a new one because of the stuff they did. So that's where I am, Mike. So it definitely take down my excitement, and I applaud you for doing that. And I think if I was not doing this, I would be in your camp. And the good thing is for me, if this doesn't pull numbers, I don't think I need to come back for 8 with the podcast with that, right? So that's where it was, where as a personal line, yes, it was something drawn, but at the same time, as someone that still needs to support the channel and do this, and I think it could do well numbers for us, because I think the last review did good numbers for us, I got to do it, right? There is some lines, like I said, I will not personally be on a Rush Hour 4 fucking, and I don't think there's going to be a review, but you know what I mean? Like, there's certain things where it's like, technically, even if someone, whoever has the Scream thing, even if they're like, you know what, I do agree with her, I see her point of view, but I think this is going to hurt the movie, we gotta cut her. That's where I at least go, okay, I can't get on board with anybody being like, well, Brett Ratner, this situation can be a little 50-50, he should, no, like, that's a done deal type of shit of like, there's no opinion here. We shouldn't be working with a fucking rapist, So that's where I am. So I'm not really excited for it. I think me and Taylor will have like a fun time watching and review. I think horror movies, especially if they end up being bad, can be a very fun review. So I think it'll be a good time watching with him and reviewing it. Will it be actual movie? Who knows? I said in the Discord, I expect it to be the second worst Scream. So if it's better than that, if it's better than 4, I'll be surprised. That's where I am, because also Ken Williamson is like second time he's directed something, right? So, and I haven't loved all of his writing, right? So we'll see. But yeah, that'll be happening on the feeds in the next 48 hours. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I plan to be back Monday. If I am live, it'll be 11 a.m. Look for social media. That's what I'll say. Or Patreon. You can join the free feed. If it's a tape one, I'll let you know, because like I said, my day job, some things have changed with just certain timing. It will eventually level out, but it's just we're going through lots of changes. Tax season is also very busy for us. So that's where it happens. So, but there will be, even if I just record an episode, put on Patreon the feeds, it'll be there. Thank you very much, everyone. Tune in. Check out our other stuff we got going on. I promise when you hear from us next,